So with all the reviews you see out there on this new generation Kia Sorento, they're usually on the higher end, like the turbo model, the hybrid, and the plug-in hybrid. But what we have here today is the base model with the base engine. Now I generally can find something good about all cars to say, and that's pretty much the case with this Sorento LX. It does leave me with some really good positive impressions, but on the other hand, I do have some drivability issues that I will point out. Start this up. Let's get out and take a quick look. Now before we dive in, I want to give you a big hearty thank you for pressing play on this video today. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and while you're here, check out all of our other content. And if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. That would also be greatly appreciated. So what we have here, the LX, this is the base model, and it does have all-wheel drive. And for the price of around $33,000 with, again, it does have the all-wheel drive, that's out the door. It is a very compelling option, again, given its price and its utility. Now, I've always liked the look of this new generation. It's nice and rugged looking, but it's not like overly styled like some Kias are. And I do like its looks better than its sister, the Hyundai Santa Fe. Now, size-wise, it's a little bit in limbo land, and it does give you more space than something like a compact crossover, but it's definitely down in size. And I'll put the sizes, and I'll also list the entry price with all-wheel drive. I'll list some of those up at the top here, but it definitely is down in size compared to something like a Highlander or a Ford Explorer, but neither of those, and again, this is key, neither of those larger ones offer something with an entry-level price this low. This base model really has no options, and I kind of like that, but you do get things like wireless Apple CarPlay, and it actually did work very well. The week that I've had this car, I had no issues with Apple wireless CarPlay, which is not the case with my other experience with that. It has a decent amount of safety features, got a decent sounding stereo, and Kia's, it does have that very nice Kia infotainment system. Not the biggest screen, but their system usually works really, really well. But there is a lot of charm in the price and simplicity of this base model. And the only thing the only real feature that I would like to see, sort of standard in the base model would be heated seats and keyless entry. Now, coming around to the rear of this Sorento, this is where this size kind of shows its Jekyll and Hyde nature. Now, sure, it has the 3 rows, but if you do use them, you have very little storage. Maybe just for a few bags of groceries, and not much room in that actual 3rd row. Really just size for kids. But most people are going to drive it around just like this, and that is the party trick of this Sorento. It has very nice space in a 2-row configuration. Now, even in the base model, you have USBs for any sad person you stuff in this 3rd row, and you have a 12-volt right there. The other nice thing back here also is you can easily put the 2nd row down. And this is where this Sorento beats any of the compacts like a RAV4, the Sportage, etc. with all of this space you get with all of these seats down. And this does have a compact spare out here. That is out here, and it sits up underneath. Don't need a power lift gate. This is light and easy to open and close. So anyway, this back seat is just really, really nice. These seats slide forward and back. They recline. You got USB-C down there, 12 volt. You got vents. Just a really nice place for your passengers. This one does have a center console. Bring us down here with 2 cup holders and an armrest that's elevated, so that's nice. And you get the base model cloth seats, which they put a little bit of interesting fabric in the middle, just kind of break up all of the black. You also get a cup holder here, and you get these really, really nice big, they kind of feel plastic, but at least they are nice big pools. But this is the key. This is what the Sorento offers that not too many compacts offer, is that 3rd seat and all the space in the back seat. So again, no bells and whistles on this LX trim. It's kind of weird. If you jump up to the S trim, you're going to get things like heated seats, you're going to get keyless entry, proximity key, push button start. You're gonna get a little bit bigger screen here, and that's gonna run you maybe a few hundred, maybe at that, I don't know, $1,000. I'll put all the prices up, maybe $1,000 more. However, you will not get all-wheel drive on that S trim. You have to jump up to the X line all-wheel drive. You get all the bells and whistles, and you get the all-wheel drive also, and that's gonna put you up about $3,000 more than this LX. So this LX, I think, is a good value because it's no frills. Now, when I first saw the interior of the new Sorento, I did not like it, and because it was a high-end model, it was probably an EX or above, had the auto climate, a lot of piano black everywhere. This still has piano black, but this one doesn't look too bad. I have to honestly say, just these basic knobs and dials here, you do get piano black here. You only get like a 8-inch screen versus once you jump up trim levels, you get a bigger screen there. But pretty nice, big glove box. I always thought this was interesting here. You have the floor-mounted pedal. I only thought Mini Coopers and Mazdas did that, but this Kia has that floor-mounted throttle pedal there. Again, not really big bottle, not big pockets on the doors. Again, this is all manual in this LX trim. Now, since this is all-wheel drive, you do get a locking center differential. That's really, really nice. Again, you're talking about a $33,000 SUV, and you get a couple drive modes. Mostly these are just throttle response kind of things where the transmission shifts, but you do get a snow mode and an eco mode, and you do get hill descent, which is kind of nice. Again, pretty capable all-wheel drive system in these Sorentos. Couple cup holders here, and you get 3 more USBs right there. So this thing is not lacking for USBs. I like Kia's regular old analog gauges. You know I like those. And yeah, just not a lot to complain about here. Kind of funky looking to me. The other thing point out is if you saw my K5 video, I really complained that the base model Kia K5 had this hard plastic steering wheel. Happy to report that even though this is plastic, it's kind of spongy and soft, so it actually feels pretty good in the hand. So I don't know, maybe other people were complaining also, and yeah, Kia answered the call and gave us a nice squishy base model steering wheel. You get these kind of odd shaped vents here, and then you get these little tiny vents underneath there. That's kind of interesting. Nice sturdy shifter. Again, you can also shift this transmission yourself. Now, this is a torque converted 8-speed transmission, and we'll get it out on the drive. We'll start talking about the 4-cylinder. No turbo here. Okay, let's go for a drive. Now, one thing I have noticed driving this around, it's pretty nimble. It has a great turning radius. And as you can see here, we do have guidelines on the back. Steerable guidelines, which come in handy. Yeah, it's been pretty nimble car to drive. Nice. I think the turning radius isn't that large. At least it doesn't feel too big. And again, that's one of the nice things. This kind of drives small. Okay, now under the hood, we have the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. 2.5. It's really comparable in size and horsepower to the Toyota 2.5 4-cylinder, and probably closer though to the Mazda 2.5, making 190. I'll put the numbers up here. I think it's 192 horsepower, 187-ish pound-feet of torque, and it's a pretty burdened engine. This is not, definitely maybe lacks a little bit of power, but yeah, it's basically on par with all of those compact engines. You know, the RAV4, the CR-V, you know, all those cars have these, you know, these 4-cylinder. Some of them have the turbo, but horsepower numbers are about the same. Now, no turbo, but you can jump up to the turbo version of this, and that's incredibly over 300 pound-feet of torque. But again, you're going to get pretty pricey. Now, I do have the binaural microphones going today, so hopefully we'll pick up some of the sounds of this Sorento engine. Yeah, it's not as raspy as the Toyota engine. It's definitely not as smooth as Mazda's 2.5, and it gets the job done. The kind of the complaint that I have with this is the pairing with the 8-speed transmission. This thing is constantly hunting. It's just not a comfortable fit. You know, when you're driving this 2.5 with its 8-speed, you really grow to appreciate Mazda's 6-speed and how it pairs with its 2.5. It's just a natural, you know, match made in heaven kind of thing between that transmission and that engine. But here it just seems you're always kind of fighting the transmission. And you got 8 speeds here, and you know, I don't think it doesn't make it feel any quicker. It's just a lot of up and down. Now you do have some drive modes. You can put this in sport, and that'll definitely keep the transmission holding gears. It'll crisp up the throttle response. Let's get this out on the highway. It's in sport mode. It's holding that gear. Yeah, it just seems like the transmission sometimes just does not know what it wants to do. But let's go ahead and pop it back into smart mode. Yeah, it just grades and everything, gives it a little trouble. Now, once you do get it up to speed, you can see here I'm 75-ish moving with traffic. This is a quiet cruiser. This is much quieter than any of the compacts you get out there. You know, it's right on par with something like a Highlander as it cruises down the highway. And again, it's just it soaks up bumps really well. So this is where this kind of comes into its own. If you take trips, this is going to be better than a compact. Let's talk about highway mileage or just fuel mileage in general. Again, this is where this car just falls into this limbo land. Fuel mileage of this non-turbo really isn't any better than the turbo. Ultimately, they come out around 24, 25 on average. Neither one of them hit 30 on the highway. And again, that's where the compacts like the RAV4 are gonna beat this dramatically. And you can hit this steering wheel and it'll just drive right down the center of this lane. Does a great job. Again, you're only gonna use this, you know, if you're futzing with the radio or something, or you want to grab a drink of water. This is not self-driving, okay? I'm just doing this for demo purposes. I didn't talk about the brakes before. I'll go ahead and talk about them now. I like the brakes. It's a soft brake pedal, but it's very linear. It's very modulated. I like the brakes. Feel very, very strong. Again, not the firmest of pedals, but I wouldn't call it mushy by no means. Seat comfort in this LX is okay. The seat backs, the seat sides are fine. The seat bottoms are a little hard for me. But again, you combine that with how quiet this is, and you know, it's a decent trip car. Now, as far as handling goes, the steering is pretty quick, and for a tall SUV, the body motions are pretty well controlled. The issue I have is with the steering. The steering is vague and rubbery, and you know, and because of that, you just get this wallowy feeling with this. Here in the snow, I found the all-wheel drive system to be very good. Even in smart mode, the power moves around really well between the front and rear, and climbing snowy roads didn't really have any problems. Now the steering numbness definitely becomes a factor in the snow, though, as I had no idea. Even at highway speeds on snow-covered highways, I had no idea if the front wheels were getting traction or plowing or sliding when taking turns. All right, let's get on it here. All right, let's just go over some rough road. Again, the suspension's pretty well tuned. It's not mushy. again, because it's controlling those body motions. And yeah, but it's, man, really, really comfortable over this dirt road. And quiet too. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, that downshift right there took way too long. But let's go ahead and do some sport mode here. Sport. Like all Kias, you got smart mode, you got economy mode, and here we are in sport. And it will hold the gears. The steering will stiffen up a little bit. I feel like I'm being hard on it because this drives so much smaller and it just feels more nimble than something like a Highlander or an Explorer or any of those really true, full-size SUVs or, regular old SUVs like this one's trying to be. All right, yeah, just to wrap this up, this Sorento is a little vexing to me, but at this price, I actually really do like it. It's just that transmission just really, really drove me nuts. And, and power-wise, it's not great, but it's livable. I just generally I can't say I thoroughly enjoyed driving this thing around. Now, on the plus side, except when I was in the snow. Again, in the snow, I thought this was pretty good. Now, on the plus side, it does cruise very well on the highway, and it actually can get pretty decent highway fuel mileage. And it's pretty quiet, and it rides well with its a little bit longer wheelbase. But if I had this budget and I wanted all-wheel drive and hauling utility was important to me, it kind of stands alone. And kudos to Kia for offering us these choices. Now, the key here is space and that tiny third row seat, as I think, ignoring, if you don't need that, then the compacts are a better choice. They generally drive better, and you can get them for, roughly around the same price, and they're going to get better fuel economy. Please share your thoughts and questions on this Sorento or anything else on your mind. We'd love to hear from owners what your experience has been, and thanks again for your support and watching this video today. And as always, have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be.